You have the worst superpower in human history. You remember your past life. Normally that would be incredible. You'd predict inventions, win every argument by quoting things that haven't been said yet. Except you got reincarnated 2,000 years too early. So every piece of future knowledge you have is completely, catastrophically useless. One day people will fly. Cool. Carry these rocks. Fantastic. You've spent 6 months in Jerusalem as a Roman auxiliary soldier, lowest rank in the empire. You sleep in a stone barracks with 12 other men. You eat porridge that tastes like sadness. And every morning, a centurion explains, in detail, exactly what the army will do to you if you fail him today. This is the part about Rome the movies don't show you. Roman discipline isn't strict. Roman discipline is theatrical. Fall asleep on guard duty? They beat you to death with clubs. In public. In front of your friends. Your friends are required to help. It's called fustuarium. It's not a story they tell to scare new recruits. It's a Tuesday. Let your unit fail catastrophically? Roman command might order decimation. They line up everyone, draw lots, and every 10th man is beaten to death by the other 9. The survivors get fed rations of barley instead of wheat, as an additional insult, because they failed. Let a prisoner escape? You get whatever punishment the prisoner was going to get. You can do the math on that last one. The most common punishment Rome hands out in this region is crucifixion. If you lose a man scheduled for crucifixion, you get crucified. You think about this every morning, the way modern people think about their credit score, except instead of a worse interest rate, it ends with you nailed to a wooden post. So when your commander says the words, tomb duty, you feel your soul try to leave your body through the bottoms of your feet. Because unlike every other soldier in this courtyard, you know exactly whose tomb it is. A preacher named Jesus, and according to a very uncomfortable memory from your previous life, he's not staying dead. Sir, respectfully, can I guard literally anything else? No. A sewer? No. A goat? No. Sir, with profound respect, I would like to volunteer for fustuarium right now, just to get ahead of the timeline. No. He hands you the assignment. The body has to be in that tomb at sunrise on Sunday. The Sanhedrin specifically requested a Roman guard because the priests are worried the disciples might steal the body and start claiming the man rose from the dead. He doesn't mention the third option because he doesn't think it's an option. The third option is what you're going to be dealing with. You walk to the tomb with 5 other auxiliaries, including your best friend Marcus. Marcus is the only person who makes Jerusalem tolerable. 28. Built like a wine barrel. Operates on a personality setting somewhere between permanent vacation and mildly concerned about lunch. Survived 4 years of barbarian campaigns on the Rhine and arrived in Judea having decided permanently that nothing else in life was going to scare him. This decision is about to be tested. He's eating olives as you arrive. He looks at the giant stone. He looks at the seal. He looks at you. He shrugs. Easy assignment. Marcus, we're guarding a dead man. Exactly. The dead man? Yes. The one the entire Sanhedrin is freaking out about? He pops another olive. That's usually how it works. They put dead men in tombs. You consider telling him. You don't. Marcus would assume you'd been drinking sun-warmed wine again and would offer you water. The priests arrive. Nobody takes tomb security more seriously than men who genuinely believe a dead preacher might escape. They inspect the seal. They inspect the stone. They place an official Roman seal across the stone, a thin cord of wax stamped with the imperial mark. Breaking that seal without authorization carries an automatic death sentence. So now there are 2 ways for you to be executed on this assignment. Body leaves on its own, you die. Body gets stolen, you die. Seal gets broken without orders, you die. You start to suspect Rome may have an issue with conflict resolution. One priest points dramatically at the entrance. Under no circumstances can anyone remove the body. You almost laugh, because they're guarding against exactly the wrong problem. Nobody is planning to steal the body. The body is planning to leave. Night falls. Marcus tells you about a girl he met at the market who sells figs. He thinks she likes him. He's planning to ask her about it next week, assuming next week happens. You barely hear him. Every few minutes, you check the tomb. Still closed. Still silent. Still terrifying. You're acting weird. I'm not. You keep staring at the rock. I'm monitoring the rock. It's a rock. It's a suspicious rock. Midnight passes. The other guards start dozing. Marcus eventually starts snoring. You sit alone watching the tomb, and for one glorious hour you start thinking history just exaggerated the whole thing. Maybe the story got bigger over centuries. Maybe people in 2,000 years took a normal sad story and turned it into a giant story. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe the ground shakes hard. Every guard jolts awake. Birds explode out of nearby trees. Stones fall from a wall. Then the stone moves. Nobody is touching it. Nobody is pushing it. It just starts rolling. Marcus grabs your arm so hard, you lose feeling in 3 fingers. Why is the rock moving? Finally, a question you can answer. Because we're cooked. The tomb opens, and a light comes out. Not torchlight, not moonlight. The kind of light that makes your soul immediately submit a resignation letter. Something walks out, calm, silent, unhurried, and every Roman soldier on guard duty simultaneously discovers a brand new military tactic: playing dead. You all hit the dirt. Marcus drops so fast you're genuinely impressed. 1 second he's screaming. The next he's pretending to be a particularly worried piece of decorative flooring. You join him, not because you're scared. Okay. Mostly because you're scared. The figure walks past you. No battle. No confrontation. He just leaves. Like this sort of thing happens every weekend. You crack one eye open. Marcus whispers, "Is it gone?" "I think so. Can we leave?" "No." "Why?" "Because we're still responsible for the dead guy. The dead guy isn't here anymore." "Exactly." Marcus starts hyperventilating. "I was supposed to get promoted." "What?" "If this went well, I was getting a desk job in Caesarea. Inland posting. Real bed. Maybe even a window." "Marcus, the laws of physics just bent." "I know, and it broke my career." Sunrise arrives. The tomb is empty. Then a runner arrives. You're being summoned, not by your commander, by the Sanhedrin. The priests want to see you before Rome does. This is somehow more terrifying than the resurrection. Because the resurrection was a religious event, the summons is an administrative event, and Roman soldiers fear administrative events more than they fear gods. A room full of priests stares at you. The mood is something between funeral and performance review. One folds his hands. "Tell us exactly what happened." Marcus immediately points at you. He talks more. "Traitor." So you explain. The shaking, the stone, the light, the figure, the empty tomb. You describe it the way you'd describe it to a Roman officer. Facts, sequence, timestamps, silence. One priest rubs his forehead. Another stares at the floor. A third looks like he is actively reconsidering every life choice that delivered him to this room. Finally, one of them clears his throat. Okay. You're going to tell everyone the disciples stole the body." "What?" "The disciples stole the body, while 8 armed Roman guards were watching?" "Correct. That's a terrible lie. It's the official lie." Marcus, who has been silent until this exact moment, raises his hand. "Sir," respectfully, "if we were asleep, how do we know who stole it?" The room becomes completely silent. The priest slowly turns his head and looks at Marcus the way a man looks at a structural crack in a load-bearing wall. "Never ask that question again." Marcus nods solemnly. "Fair." Then they hand you money. A lot of money. More money than you have ever seen. You realize what is happening. The priests aren't bribing you, they're saving you. Because they understand Roman discipline better than your own commander does. They know that if Rome finds out the body left under guard, you get crucified. Marcus gets crucified. Everyone on duty tonight gets crucified. Unless there is a story. A simple, terrible, plausible, deniable story that lets every party walk away. So you take the money. Of course you take the money. You take the money so fast, Marcus actually says easy. Weeks pass. The story refuses to die. People claim they've seen the man. The official lie holds, technically. Nobody asks Marcus's follow-up question because nobody who could answer it is allowed to speak. Marcus hates every second of it. One day, a merchant starts loudly retelling the resurrection story. Marcus stands up immediately. Nope. What? I no longer discuss tomb-related topics. As policy. You watch your best friend physically jog away from a fruit merchant. You've seen this man take a sword strike to the shoulder and ask the medic if dinner was still happening. Now he's fleeing produce. Later, by a fire, you ask him about it. Look, I saw what I saw. Bandits make sense. Bandits steal things. Dead men walking out of tombs do not make sense. And I am a man who needs the world to make sense, because otherwise I cannot do my job, and if I cannot do my job, Rome will eventually find a way to kill me anyway. Fair. He's quiet for a long time. Then, do you think losing the Son of God hurt my performance review? You laugh so hard you nearly fall off the bench. Marcus doesn't laugh. He really wants to know. You tell him no. The official record will say the disciples did it. His record is clean. He nods slowly. Good. I'd rather be forgotten than explain that report again. And here's where the joke stops being something you can sit with. Because Marcus is right. He will be forgotten. The guards become a footnote. The priest's story becomes the official record. The lie holds. But the other story, the impossible one, the one you watched happen, that story doesn't fade. It spreads. It eats Rome from the inside. You know what comes next, because you've already lived through it. You know about the persecution starting within a decade. You know about Nero burning Christians in his gardens for entertainment. You know about Constantine, who will become emperor in 312, and within his own lifetime, make this religion legal. You know about Theodosius, who 60 years after that will make it the 412 only legal religion of the entire Roman Empire. You know the same army that would have crucified you for losing this body will, within 300 years, be marching under the symbol of the man you couldn't keep in his tomb. The Roman Empire that nearly killed you for failing your duty will become the empire that builds cathedrals over the place you failed. Same institution, same legal structure, same soldiers, 3 centuries down the line, marching the same roads, just under a different god. You don't tell Marcus any of this. You can't. You just sit by the fire and let him be afraid of fruit merchants. The priests paid 20 silver coins per guard. You realize now they didn't pay enough. They thought they were buying a cover-up for a religious problem. What they actually bought was 3 centuries of plausible deniability for the founding event of the religion that would replace them. Oh, history isn't ironic. History is patient. It just keeps quietly outliving the people who think they're in charge of it. That's a wrap. The story is fictional. The Roman discipline was real. The bribe is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. The Gospel of Nicodemus claims the guards lay as dead men through fear. The cover-up worked. The lie spread. And the empire that depended on its soldiers staying terrified eventually got replaced by the religion of the man those soldiers couldn't keep buried. Marcus probably got his desk job. Probably never told anyone. Probably died old in Caesarea, in a bed with a window, having spent his entire career pretending the weirdest night of his life never happened. The empire didn't last. The story did. If this hit, drop a comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.